it was a bit surprising to me that in the last 4 years, we know the podcast landscape has changed. So for her to be exclusive behind Spotify, build her network, be open then to going to all the DSPs, ending her deal with Spotify. She's been independent for maybe the last year. And then to get a deal that is double what her last deal was. It's impressive to me because the podcast industry has changed. The money that's available, and I hate
that skin color?
Well, no. So I wanted to bring that up. I wanted to take away the black and whiteness of this.
We can't.
Only because, we can't,
Mandy.
because guess what name he listed in the top 10?
Joe Rogan.
Not only
right?
that, SaVon was mentioned. I would love for you, if you were listening to this show, to search SaVon contract.
Okay.
He went on a full rant about being signed to a network deal where he did not get his money paid out. There's also another podcast right now. And when I say another podcast, it was 2 women, one of Indian descent, one of white descent. The Indian woman had her own podcast that was already when I say super successful, 40 million downloads.
Oh,
the white woman was a journalist as well as a lawyer. They combined together, got a podcast deal with Pod One. They actually went through a lot of different network deals, but they said they pretty much worked for free for 2 years, and at the end was able to scrummage 16% of what they were owed by the network.
Now,
I've been in deals with Black Effect and Gumball. I've been in deals with minimum guarantees over the last 4 years. I've had friends in really big podcast deals that 4 years ago were great. Right now are not being offered. So it's not a black and white thing.
But let me be more clear, right? The Joe Budden podcast, black led, right?
Yep.
The biggest in his space, right?
Yep.
I wouldn't put him in the same, because it's not even the same content what him and Joe Rogan do, right? What I'm saying is when it comes to complexion, the people in our space, black and brown people, etc., who are supposed to get the money that those people get, even though they might have the same type of hives, cults, fan bases, the only difference really is, of course, maybe some subscribers, but also that complexion.
It's the same way exactly in like beauty influencers, like that industry. Like they'll be like the most popular black beauty influencer, and then she'll be on the same branch with like a white influencer, and they're getting paid such different things. So this is like across the board as well.
Even though we think we know what X podcast is doing, we would put them in the same hemisphere.
You want to know what the problem is?
What's up?
Us.
Okay, I'm listening.
What you mean by us? Because we talking about a white woman?
No.
I know you go both ways.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Ways we
Now
go.
you both
So I want to be very clear too. When we're talking black and white, and we're talking about the disparities amongst what people are paid. In this podcast space, I do believe Call Her Daddy was very much the same content as Horrible Decisions. Once I peeped what their numbers were, it wasn't. Horrible Decisions was independent. We weren't bringing in anywhere near what Call Her Daddy was bringing in under the guise of Barstool. Barstool is an already developed umbrella with massive fucking reach. So where they thought they were owed more, y'all wouldn't have got this listenership without Barstool. Let's be very clear. Secondly, amongst us, and we see it, what do they call it? Pocket watching? Not only are we pocket watching, but there's a lot of lies and disguise on what we're really making and what's really being offered to us. There's also a lot of gatekeeping. And so where, say, an Essence Festival hits us up and they want to lowball what they're willing to pay us, us are going to take the crumbs where a white influencer will be like, let me know when you have the budget. So now we're actually setting a lot of the precedent and money for ourselves within this industry, which is why when there's deals, baby, I think I've told him, I said, I'll forward you my contracts and what they offered me because you should be able to get what I get or not. Yeah. I don't think there's a lot of that. There's not a lot of transparency happening. I remember me and my like, niggas don't like transparency on what's in their pockets or they want to lie or they want to conflate. Or they want to act like they're making it and they're not. So they're wearing Amazon $23 jewelry to make it seem like they're doing what they're really not doing.
Has SaVon been transparent?
SaVon came out and said he didn't get paid.
He was very,
He was transparent. I just want to ask a
The
question.
white people,
But
baby,
Alex Card, has she been transparent?
Oh, baby.
The most transparent thing I knew
Dave
about was her
Portnoy
breakup.
comes out and niggas are mad how vocal Dave Portnoy is. Do you know who's not really clear until they're unhappy? Us.
Nah, but Joe spoke about his disagreements with Spotify.
Yeah, when
as
they
he was
didn't
going
want to give
through
him
it.
the money he thought he was owed.
Right,
Do you
like
think we
Theo.
know what happened with, do you think, though, that, I hate to say this, love what you're doing, but also we're so concerned about ourselves in terms of Joe. If you want to bring up Joe, Complex, he didn't get what he wanted, so he sabotaged the possibility of everyone else in that space making money. From the cameraman to the showrunner to the producer to all of his other co-hosts. You know where else he did the same too? Where they've actively spoken out about it? Ebony K. Williams and what happened with the Revolt show. Joe didn't get what he wanted, so because you're not giving me what I want, fuck what everyone else is making. There's not.
Is it just what I want, or is it what I am worth and what I deserve? Because that's two different conversations.
You know what that
right?
reminds me of?
But-
NFTs. Did we not see? NFTs are only valued at what the fuck someone is willing to pay for it.
You
But
know what?
also-
Wait, real quick. Let me not. No, I won't allow you to say that, because
fine.
when it comes to NFTs, the market can gauge your value with NFTs. When it comes to Joe or anybody that's a content
That's a
creator,
fact.
my value is based on how many motherfuckers is tuning in,
Right.
clicking, and listening.
And not for
so
nothing.
I'm not gonna. That's not a one-on-one.
And we're not trying to toot nobody horn in here.
No,
SaVon and I were in there, and we know what that podcast does.
Let's be very clear.
bullshit.
I'm still in
Which
there.
is- which
I
is-
still see
no,
the numbers,
no
nigga.
bullshit.
Which is
Like-
why. This is why I can't hate Joe.
Right. This ain't about Joe for real.
Fuck the corporation.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go behind the paywall. That is what this white podcast, I think I sent you it earlier this week as well. I said, listen to this shit. They got fucked by a network. They said, yo, we're going completely behind a paywall. Y'all can listen to us for 25 cents an episode, $1 a month.
Crack 'em. Crack 'em.
Either on Patreon or Apple subscription. That lets me know y'all bitches got listeners. Because y'all
sure.
charging 25 cents.
For sure, you cracking them.
And I forgot the name of
So
the
that's all
per
we
app.
need.
Real
What's the
quick,
name
is
of it?
Rabia and Ellen. Solve the
Rabia
case.
and Ellen
Well, y'all
solve
got
the
the
case.
case.
All right, Rabia.
Please go to,
Okay,
they have
now.
a episode, it's about an hour.
Yep.
When I
Yeah.
tell you,
On
they bring
Patreon.
up the emails. They bring up that one of the networks that offered them a certain amount of money said, we're filing for bankruptcy, sue us, you'll never get your money. So this isn't a black and white thing.
Wow.
Let me ask you a question or two.
Pierre, please listen to it. I know we want to talk about like the white people are getting more than us.
Yeah.
It's in a space where the white people have also signed these deals and have not gotten their money, including a SaVon.
Right. And maybe this is occurring and I'm just not privy to it. I'm sure it is. Maybe a lot of the white creators and podcasters are being more transparent with their counterparts, right? About their deals and things of that nature, because that's basically what you're saying with us over here. We don't want to talk about anything we got going on. What our deal is what our deal is, and we leave it like that. You're saying on that side, they talk amongst each other.
Did you listen to what I sent you?
I did.
Nigga.
Yeah,
They
I
brought up, they did what I did with my half white ass. They brought up names, networks,
Damn.
emails, dates, and read them.
Got you.
And was like, yo, this is what we were offered.
Got
Mind
you.
you, this is a white podcast. Y'all don't know the numbers. They were offered only $75,000 for 3 episodes a week and had to cover their own production.
Yeah.
A year?
Insane.
Bitch, 3 episodes a week for 48 weeks.
But when you say that, Mandy, right? The reason why that sounds so crazy, because anybody who's working a 9 to 5, I do want to keep that in mind, right?
Let's talk to them.
Because listen, there's a lot of people who just clock in, clock out, go home, they make a certain amount of money, and they're like, oh my gosh, 75,000, that's a lot of money. But in this instance, the reason why that's so important is because there are people like the Alex Coopers, like the Joe Rogans, who get to cash in on these athletic. Like Carmelo Anthony, we talked about his podcast,
Yes.
right? Melo, one of the greats, top 10, top 15 scorer in NBA history. We got some of these people who worked so hard in their respective careers that didn't even see that on the field or the court that they made it in, right?
Like Shannon Sharp is another example.
Shannon Sharp, another example, right? So when you see some of the people,
Newton, hate to say because he's toxic, but he's doing great too.
Fourth and one.
Some of these people that are getting these type of bags, and to some people it's like, oh, we aren't warranting it, but no, they are, because when you can offer somebody $75,000 for a year, and then you go, not only do you do this, and again, y'all know I work in the podcast industry 24/7. From this pod to any pod that I work with Joe, I work at HBO in the podcast division. I'm seeing it all. From corporate to independent to music to TV to film. I promise you, there's not a ground that I can't cover when it comes to the podcast. It's really not. So when I see these numbers and I'm like, wait, hold up. She gets $125 million, and I know the budget for this podcast happens to be X. It's not, it doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up.
We know why.
Why?
I said it already.
You think it's because of complexion?
Yeah, the complexion for flexing.
I think Alex Cooper, she has the upper hand in this situation, and that's what they felt that she was worth. I think if you're really tapped into this listenership, you'll see that she has an obsessive fan base, and they wanted that.
Her numbers are crazy.
Like,
it's insane.
Like,
her numbers are crazy. She gets millions. By the way, somebody check on the pulse of Sophia, because
I was just about to ask about her.